So I think maybe this is a good place to talk about, like, you know, how tough it is and stuff, and how much you need encouragement and feedback. What it's like maybe both to be a coach of people in prep, and what it's like to be coached for people in prep, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is why only somebody that's competed more than, like, you know, has competed a few times should be coaching somebody who's competed, because
I agree.
You are not going to understand unless you've been there.
Right.
Because, you know, like with my clients, I find that everyone has some sort of neurotic tendency, right? And whether, you know, for some guys, it starts right at the beginning of prep, you know, and they're like, so I'm talking when I'm coaching people, you know, they start sending check-in photos like 3 times a week. Like,
at 25 weeks out.
Yeah, we don't need that. You know, not at that stage yet. Thank you, but or the guys that like want to know the exact roadmap going forward, right? Which is like, you know, I think you can provide a framework.
Yep. It's
but
good for a framework. Yeah.
A actual, like, you know, at this we'll do this, blah blah blah. It's a little bit more nuanced, because you have to see how the body's responding to things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So so it's perhaps really interesting, because it's definitely an art and a science to it. I've worked with 2 different coaches through preps, and very different approaches. And also, like, for that matter, posing coaches even, you know, they can be influential as well. So what I'm saying is that, like, you know, there's some coaches that are try to be very encouraging, and then there are some that are less encouraging. Right? So like it just depends on the personality type of the coach. And I think that's why it's important, you know, if people are considering a coach, to talk with them. Don't just go on name brand, because, like, coach may be a great coach for X kind of person, but you're a Y. So like, he might not get along with you at all.
Right.
So, you know, you got to bear that in mind, because it doesn't mean that coach isn't a good coach. It means he's not a good coach for you.
Yeah, not suitable for you.
So
it's good to have that hammered out early on if you can, because I've heard of more than one case where someone has bailed on a coach in the later stages of prep because whatever reasons. I don't think that's ever a good idea, because, you know, if you're a new coach coming in on someone with 4 weeks to go, it's really, really hard to take the reins of that and get them where they want to be. It's a disservice to the client and to you. So
and the thing is like, I think that happens when people panic. You know, and again, they're dealing with exactly the same thing that I'm dealing with right now. Where my vision of where I want to be and where I actually am are 2 different things. And so, like, you have to understand that, number one, that's probably always going to be the case, because we always want to be better than we are.
Yeah, true.
So
we should be looking for that.
Number 2 is, it's not necessarily because of the coach at all, right? Now, granted, if the coach is like, doesn't know what they're doing or whatever, or is doing like the kitchen sink approach, you know, stuff like that. Like, there's some definite warning signs that the coach doesn't know what they're doing. But, you know, if they're using sort of the generally accepted approaches to everything and all that, making sure the diet, cardio, training, etc. is all dialed, then it's like that coach needs to focus on bringing the best out of the athlete. And that's taking in their own sort of neuroticism into consideration. So like, the way that I coach client A is different from the way I coach client B.
Yeah.
And that's just because client A is an overthinker. And, if I criticize too harshly or don't pick up on the fact that he's overthinking something and needs to be told, you're overthinking, just focus on this.
Yeah.
Then, he's not going to bring his best. Yeah. On the other hand, if I've got another guy who's got like really high pride, then, well, with the overthinker, I may be able to present very constructive criticism as long as it's logical.
Mm-hmm.
With the more ego or pride driven guy, it's a lot more about like that sort of positive, like, yeah, let's go get him type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So
get fired up kind of
stuff. It really depends on what their motivations are. And really the only way to understand that through people is by interacting with them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of hard, like, if you just jump on with a coach, even one prep is like enough to get to learn about the coach, but it's not really enough to actually, like, develop that level of understanding of each other.
Yeah, you need a relationship to get to
exactly
optimal results. Yeah.
Or the other alternative is completely no relationship, which is just like, do this.
Yeah. But then
that works for some people, it doesn't for others.
Yeah, that coach would kind of be risking like pushing things that the client didn't want to say work for them, though.
Yeah.
So that could be bad. That may be a coach overconfident in their methods are the only methods, so they just push them.
Generally the case, yes.
Yeah, generally the case. Yeah, which is unfortunate. I mean, I think good coaching is going to be very, very much about people management.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. I mean, I don't talk about office management, but understanding people's emotions and positive manipulation of those emotions for better outcomes, for their benefit. Yeah.
Well, but to play devil's advocate, if you've got someone who slacks, right, or is a bit lazy, then those people need their asses kicked.
Yeah, and I think that's also
the same thing in management too. So it's like, because like I remember when I was a young manager and I was studying organizational behavior at school at the same time. So of course it's all about positive reinforcement and encouragement and not negative praise and punishment and shit like that, right? So all of that stuff was bad, but all the positive fluffy stuff was good. And then what happened is I met a lazy employee, and I tried to positively encourage that employee, and then what they did is less, because they figured I don't have to work this hard,
right? So
that happens, like,
it does.
And that's why, like, if the person is conscientious, then of course the praise and encouragement is always going to go further. But if the person's a bit lazy, then got
to give them the boot.
Tap on ass once in a while, right?
Yeah. Which is somewhat amusing to me. Like, you're going to get up on stage in just a tiny pair of trunks, and you're not going to do your optimal and try to slack off. Like, try to find ways to weasel out of taking your coach's guidance. And you're paying this coach too, right? So you're going to hire someone. I'll listen to what they say. Be lazy, and then get on stage and we'll see naked. Like, is that really like a good plan? I don't think so.
Doesn't make sense to me either.
No. I guess some people do it maybe because of some kind of odd cockiness that's connected to their laziness.
No, I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's that combination of like ego and a bit lazy, or a desire to cut corners. I think that's kind of like where things can really go wrong.
While we're on coaching too, I'll just touch on a little bit. Like, I came from late 80s and early 90s, and there really were no coaches then. And now coaches are obviously prevalent. And I coach people because I've got 4 decades, and I competed in the 80s, 90s, and 2010s. So I'm trying to pass on what I know. And so I believe in it, for other people. But I feel like in my time, we didn't have it. And I'm wondering if it's not so much because coaching was an industry, but because there was actually so few bodybuilders. Really, really few. That only the people who did it and wanted to get on stage really were like very into it, very hardcore, very much had themselves sorted so they get on stage. Some people were good, some people were not, but but now there's such a wide spectrum of people who are doing it. I think that there's much more room for them to come in and teach normal people how to get themselves ready. I wonder if you agree with that. I mean, you're kind of nodding your head.
Yeah, no, I think it's a lot more accessible now. And that, coaching is a key component of that, right? Because most people, when they go into a gym, don't even know how to lift weights.
True.
Right? Like they just I see it every day. Because I go to a gym that's got quite a few normies in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can tell that they've never been taught how to lift. And it's going to take them either a long time to figure it out on their own, or they're going to have to get someone to teach them.
Yeah.
And so, that's analogous to like the diet and all that sort of stuff too, right? There's people in the gym that are starting out in the gym that clearly don't know how to diet, right? They're fat or skinny, right? And like I find, like, especially with nutrition, nobody wants to talk about it.
No.
Because it's the shitty part, right?
Yeah.
Like training, the gym, that's fun. And it's an hour of the day. Nutrition is the remaining 23.
Yeah.
So arguably it's, I won't say it, well, I'll say it's more important. Yeah.
It can be. It definitely can be. Because I think, obviously you have to train. If you don't train, nothing happens, right?
I think a little stimulus and a dialed diet will get you good results.
Yeah.
I think a little diet and a lot of training doesn't necessarily yield results.
True. Yeah.
Right, which is what we see so much of.
Yeah.
Right, we see that guy that's in the gym all the time, but is still like got a huge belly, and as soon as he's done, he goes and has 6 beers and a smoke and a pizza. Right,
I would put diet slightly behind training, only because, like I said, you need some kind of stimulus. But if you can, especially if you're early in your training career, if you're a beginner, even early intermediate, almost like any kind of training is going to get you some kind of net results. And then the nutrition really shines. Right? And that's really where you start getting the benefits. Like you say, people could go in there and be an animal, but they don't eat right, either too much or too little, or not enough protein or whatever. They're not going to get the right results. Whereas they can do some kind of training, create a stimulus, and in proper nutrition, they will get much better gains than someone who had that other reverse model, I think.
No, so I always, whenever I approach coaching people, especially with somebody that is just starting out, I always encourage them to learn to love the training first, because the training is the fun part.
Yeah.
So you go in there, you get sweaty, you grunt, listen to music really loud, that sort of stuff, all that good stuff, right? Get the dopamine, all that kind of stuff. It's great.
If you don't love training, you're not going anywhere in this anyway, right? To begin with.
Yeah, no, and you're just not gonna
game over. Yeah.
You're not gonna you're not gonna see results. You're not gonna be motivated to make the sacrifices and the decisions that you need to with respect to nutrition if you don't love training already.
Right.
Like in my case, it was always like, so I stopped training once, and when I stopped training, then when I went back in, it was probably like 3 to 6 months, I think, after I started training. Just the training, as you said, was stimulus enough, but then it plateaued.
Yeah.
And I was stuck. And then that was when I started to pay attention to nutrition, and then that's when things started to change again. Yeah.
Which really shows how just important nutrition is, like you said.
Yeah.
Are you off that plateau and got you going again?
No, and that's the reason why when I was looking at certifications and stuff, that's why I started with a nutrition one instead of a training one.
Yeah. And I see, I don't know if you see the same thing, but obviously we know people who are fairly confident about their training, for better or for worse. But I have met people who tell me, I don't need any help with diet. I got my diet all sorted. And I'm looking at them like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
But like, I meet people, training compared to nutrition, people seem more overconfident in their grasp of nutrition for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
People I've met. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I don't know where that comes from, but it seems to be fairly sticky in some people.
Yeah. I think it's just because they don't really understand the importance of it.
I think that's true. They're just misunderstanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't really have a proper grasp of things. Yeah.
No, and also like, so the thing that I always tell people is that nutrition for optimal health and nutrition for optimal body composition are two very different things.
True.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I eat healthy all the time. Look, I eat all these nuts. Look at me eat all the nuts.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's like 1,000 calories you just ate.
Yeah.
While you're fat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Which is not healthy either, right? I mean,
like you're eating healthy stuff, but you're eating way too much of it, and that's why you're fat.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. I think that's probably like the biggest sin I see committed. It's like people are like, "Oh, I'm going to be healthy and eat nuts."
Yeah. Or people eating like a whole avocado all the time, forgetting their 400 calories a pop,
It's like no, like a serving is like 12 or 13 nuts, right? Like, not even a handful.
Not 2 fistfuls. Or a whole bag. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people do get that sense like, oh, this is healthy, so I can eat tons of it.
Or, oh, olive oil is healthy.
Yeah. It's 5 tablespoons. Yeah.
No, or like you look at I love watching cooking videos, right? It's like Gordon Ramsay, right? When he's like, it was this one that he had for like cooking at home, right? So it wasn't him being Hell's Kitchen chef or whatever the heck it was, but like he was like, and it was like, oh yeah, so we're gonna cook whatever and put some olive oil in the pan. Like literally, it was like
over and over again.
Seconds worth of, I'm like, wow.
Is he frying or is he just like
frying?
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully a coach can help you get that kind of stuff sorted. That's where it's needed, I suppose. The people who are willing to listen to a coach too, because that makes a difference. Some people are not willing to listen. They don't, they think they've already know everything, Yeah,
that's very hard.
Yeah. What do you think about obviously you're in the last 2.5 weeks before a show, like obviously I think the importance of a coach increases dramatically towards the end because of the mental stress, the kind of fine-tuning, those kind of last things. How is that for you, and how is it for your clients that you've taken through prep?
Sure. So I mean, it's kind of one and the same, right? And that's that I would say within 4 weeks, you cannot look at yourself objectively. Generally, most people.
Yeah.
I can't. I look at myself and in 1 minute I'm shredded and this is great. The next minute I'm tiny and I've lost all my muscle. The next minute I'm still fat.
Yeah.
So, where do I land amidst that? I don't know.
Right. Really hard to be objective.
Having a coach is that you can just execute. So you don't have to do any of the thinking, and you're not going to be subjected to any of your own personal biases when you're looking at yourself. So, for example, if I was like coaching myself right now, or trying to, I know full well that I would be eating because
you feel small.
I feel small.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
So like I know that I would be doing that, but because I have my coach and because I have my plan and because I don't fucking quit, that's I'm gonna keep doing the plan. So I hate it. I hate everything about it. The way I look, I hate my plan, I hate my menu, I hate everything, but I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
There's not much longer. Yeah.
And objectively it's kind of like the quote unquote the right thing to do, right? I mean it's what you gotta do. It sucks, but you have to do it. So, yeah. I mean none of us will make the pretension even completely natural that bodybuilding is a healthy sport, especially competitive bodybuilding.
Not at all.
I think off season, just working out and gaining some muscle tissue, that's definitely can be healthy. But the kind of abuse you put the body through towards the end is really, really hard. And the mental impacts are very, very hard to deal with on your own.
That's exactly it. So I think that all of this mental speak is actually like the body's self-defense mechanism.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kicking in and it's saying, Craig, you're too lean.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know I am. Like, I got ab veins that run from here. Like, so so it's like, and I mean kids when they get on the elevator, they're like looking at my arms going, Mom, look at that guy's arms.
What is that? Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so vascular right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I have no question that I'm at a level of body fat right now that's not healthy. But it's still not low enough.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I think all the negative self-speak is happening, because I think that, you know how there's like those hormones that make you hungry.
Yep.
Leptin and ghrelin, I think.
Ghrelin. Yeah.
And so, like, you know, there's those hormones that make you hungry, but if you're ignoring them, and what I think is going on is your brain is just saying, like, okay, this guy needs a bit more motivation. You know, he's not responding to the stomach churning, not responding to the lightheadedness and you know, that sort of stuff. So, you know, let's start playing some psychological warfare on him.
Do you ever reach out to your coach, like when you're feeling like you need some words of encouragement? Or
I did this morning.
Kick in the butt. Yeah.
I don't usually do it.
Yeah.
I don't usually do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't usually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this morning I just felt like it started out okay. Where I shot some check-in pictures, just more for myself. They weren't like asked for. Because we know that we're going to be caning the diet for the full week anyways. So, and I still have fat on my ass. So I was like, just took the pictures out of interest. And then I started to get frustrated with, like, you know, if I pose differently, is that going to make my glutes look better? What is it?
Yeah.
You know, and then I was trying these different poses, and then by trying the different poses, then my legs looked bad. And then one thing led to another, and it was just a spiral, right?
Yeah.
And I got, of course, you know, you're like, I need to fix this now. So next thing I know, I spent an hour trying to perfect my back double.
Trying to control what you can.
A billion pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally just had to reach the conclusion, okay, I'm not lean enough yet. And then I started thinking, but I was the lightest I've been in 5 years on the scale.
Yeah.
This morning. How am I not in shape yet? Like, have I not built any muscle over this time? Like, you know, like all of the negative self-speak, right? So, and then I was just like, so, but I, you know, I was like, you know, I just said, well, I just had a rant. Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can't put it any other way.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know, I've fucking done everything I need to do over the course of the past 10 years, you know, 5 in particular, right? I'm light. I'm going to wind up on stage like 20 pounds lighter than another guy.
Yeah.
And that's in a division that's like capped weight by height. So same height as me and 20 pounds heavier. Like, why am I wasting my time?
It's easy to feel that way. Yeah.
Why am I wasting my time? Like, I'm wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
So, you know, and so
that
was the start of it. So yeah. And then that's when I got, just make it through today.
Yeah. I think people,
like, I mean, you know, like I've worked with my coach. I took a little break and worked with a different coach for a while, but I mean, it's 10 years now that I've known this guy. So he knows me.
Yeah, which is really important.
So obviously if I'm doing this, then he you know, has the right response. So
yeah, I think people who you mentioned earlier about why it's really important to have competed to be a competitive coach, you know, and I think obviously we appreciate what you go through because we've done it. But I think even just for a regular person listening to this, thinking about the challenges of a relatively difficult regular person diet, you know, and they hit those days where they just can't control their hunger, or they just feel really bad, or they feel slow or lightheaded. Like, consider for a moment, like that's your beginning point in a bodybuilding diet. Like, that's where you start, and then every day you basically trying to hit lower than that, trying to push more than that, you know, and that's consistently over days and weeks, if not months, you know, to get on stage and be in your best shape. And that really takes not only a special person as a competitor, but a special coach who can actually guide that person and give them what they need in those difficult times,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's why competitive experience is essential.
Yeah. Be almost impossible to understand if you haven't done it. If you tell people, and too many people too, I think, somewhat of an aside, but you see a lot of people going around saying, I've been 5% body fat or da 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 da. It's like, and they haven't been anywhere near that.
Yeah.
I think it's people, they hit 15, they think they're shredded.
5, yeah.
They really don't know. It's
I've stood next to a couple guys like that.
Yeah, I've dealt with those people, and just they don't when you're really down like 4 or 5% for real, you feel like death.
Yeah.
And that's a pronounced feeling that you cannot mistake for anything else. You're that low, it. So
yeah. No, and also just like little things, right? Like, do these people understand that you have to be careful when sitting on hard surfaces?
Yeah.
Like, you'll go straight to your tailbone, right?
Yeah.
Like, do they understand that like right now it's funny, which is actually like I was kind of happy with, but when I sit down, I find that I'm sitting on my hamstrings more than my ass now.
Trying to find some kind of padding somewhere?
No, just like that's what's happening. So it shows that I've grown them a little bit.
Naturally.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So there's more tissue compressed.
There's like a little pad in the front there. So if I angle forward a little bit, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had that, but it is interesting how these things hit you and the body fat goes down because some of your body shape changes. It's places that you have for padding. I remember back in the 90s, I had a friend of a friend who wasn't a big guy, so he would just get as shredded as possible, really like severe death face, early 90s style. And the guy, he had the thing like sitting on the toilet would hurt, and when he would walk around his house barefoot, his feet would click on the wood floors.
Yeah, so
tapping noises.
I heard about that from Dorian.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that or not.
Like, you've got to really be punished to do that.
It's I can definitely feel everything, like all of the bones in my feet. I can feel them individually touching the ground. Yeah. So
that intramuscular extra fluid.
I can feel the whole the heel, and I can feel the the digits like under the ball.
Yeah. This guy's probably a fifth of Dorian's size, but that's what he did, was get shredded because he knew it wasn't going to get big. So I think he was like a lightweight back in bodybuilding days.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I did joke with my coach earlier. I was like, dude, let's just not stop, right? Let's just keep going. I'll fucking do lightweight, like.
You're the tallest guy in that division. Yeah.
Why would I be 20 pounds shy of the cap in classic physique when I can squeeze into lightweight and be huge?
Like, can you get under isn't there a height minimum? I mean, does that height prevent you from entering that class or no?
Not in bodybuilding.
Okay. Oh, bodybuilding, no, but classic physique.
Classic physique just has the one. It just has the one.
Okay, just the max
for the height.
Okay. So theoretically, a taller, thinner guy, theoretically speaking, could compete in that if he really wanted to.
In classic,
not saying you, but somebody could absolutely do that if they wanted to.
Oh no, like anyone, as long as they're under the cap, can compete in classic physique. So, like, you can be as skinny as you want.
Yeah, as long as you're at that height.
There's no limit on how skinny you can be. Thank God for that. Otherwise,
no limit how short you can be either, technically speaking. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, but it's all proportional, right? So
yeah, it should be. Yeah.
That's what they're aiming for.
Yeah. And you're aiming for that target, and hopefully you'll hit it comfortably. I will give you lots of good vibes about getting carved up and filled out in that last week or so.
Yeah. No, it's not going to happen, though.
Being super tight, hopefully.
It's just so my relationship with classic physique is kind of funny. Classic physique came out in 2016, and I competed in it the first year, and I thought, this is great. Finally, a division for people like me that have a hard time putting on mass, because there's a limit, and the limit was pretty good. So I'm 172.5 centimeters, which meant that the original limit was, I want to say 72 kilos.
Okay.
Or something like that. Or no, was it 76? Yeah, it was 76 kilos or something like that. So I was like, okay. And that's the same as lightweight. So I was like working towards that, or middleweight rather. So
yeah, middleweight.
Working towards that. And then they bumped it to no, sorry. Okay, so originally it was 80 kilos, and that's 176, which is lightweight.
Yeah, 176. I remember that.
Middleweight. Yeah,
middleweight cap.
So I was like, perfect, because my whole thing was, I knew I'm never going to be heavy or super heavy or even light heavy.
Yeah.
But if I could be a good middleweight bodybuilder, I'd be very happy with that, because, like, to me, a good middleweight bodybuilder is still a bodybuilder. You look at him.
I look great. A good middleweight. Yeah.
Look good, but not too big, blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, I'm biased. I would love to be too big, but that's just not going to happen for me. So that was like a good goal.
Yeah.
So 80 kilograms on stage is kind of like what, I was aiming for. And then they upped it to 82.9. And that was right when I got to like 79 kilo stage weight. So I was like 79 kilo stage weight, almost at the 80 cap. And then they're like, okay, it's 82.9. I was like, fuck, okay, got to gain more weight. So pushed again. Then got to the last show I competed at like 81.9, I think. So I'm like, okay, pretty much there.
Yeah.
And then they upped it again to 84.9. So,
it's creeping.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this is the end. Like, otherwise it's not going to be classic physique anymore.
Yeah. I mean, for better or for worse, it's looking a lot like 90s bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Before they got really big guys.
Yeah.
And middleweights, frankly, was a very winning class back in the 90s. I had a friend who turned pro at middleweight back in the old days.
Oh, wow.
Great physique, just not a really big guy, but, really good lines, small waist, look big from afar, But,
I like that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's the strange relationship I have with that. I keep chasing it. So So like I've always just wanted, like, to be on stage at or, above the cap even.
Yeah.
What a thought. But that's,
you can keep going. You can keep getting better. I went till I was 50. You can do it.
I just don't think it's possible, man. That the pace I've accumulated tissue over the past decade. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I capped out where I capped out, which is maybe heavy enough, but nothing I would do get me past that cleanly.
Yeah.
So yeah. So also one of the reasons why I kind of stopped pushing,
right.
It didn't make sense. So
yeah, no, but the thing is, like, where I was sitting, I don't know, 6-8 weeks out, I love that look.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was like amazing. Like, I was fit, healthy, still look big, blah, blah, blah. So like for me, that's what, like, if that's my walking around look, I would be really happy with that. Yeah. So I think that's probably what I'm going to shoot for in the off season.
Yep.
Regardless of like how many shows I do or whatever.
But we're not trying to add tissue,
it's like, it's kind of, I don't need to, like, this cut. I've dropped 35 pounds.
Wow. That is a lot.
I went from 93
to
78.5, 78.8.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But I wasn't that fat to begin with.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And that's the tough part, like, too. I mean, we're talking about prep again, but I think this needs to be said. And I mentioned before, is like when you're trying to get really, really lean for stage, you're going to have those parts that are really stubborn, but you got to keep attacking them. Which causes damage, for lack of better terms, to the rest of the body. It just keeps pulling it off everywhere. You can't choose. No matter what we do, spot reducing is not a thing. And when those final spots are the ones remaining, there's nothing you can do but just push harder, right? Yeah,
that's what I figure is happening right now. So
yeah.
But I just gotta ride it out, see where we land.
Yeah.
Come showtime. And the other thing too is, like, it's quite possible that I drive myself into the ground before this show, trying to get all the fat off.
Yeah.
And then when I'm successful in doing that, then that means the next 7 weeks can be spent trying to fill out more and stuff like that. So it might wind up with like a really, really good look. you know, in that time, right? But
yeah,
don't really know. So
yeah, well, that's what the coach is for, to help you through that, right? So
no, exactly. Yeah. So you know, we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just right now, just in the yeah.
Well, I hope to talk to you again before that. But,
yeah.
but you know, I do hope that your coach gives you the guidance you need, and you keep
yeah, no, he's great.
You know?
He's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no complaints there at all. That's for sure. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, one of the main drivers for me going back to him was the fact that, you know, I know he gives a shit, and he's, you know, going to treat me like, you know,
real important.
Yeah, like you know,
real
like
important.
a buddy would, you know. So so that's important. Like, he'll be sensitive to my neurotic behavior, right?
And your needs. You're just basic needs, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Much the same as I try to do for my clients, and I'm sure you try to do for yours, right?
Absolutely. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah. Right. No cookie cutter approaches.
No, absolutely not. Okay. Well, I think we had another good chat today. I appreciate your time on this. Good chat on coaching and a little more on prep. But I hope you do well in the rest of your prep. I know we'll talk again, but still wish you good luck every day. And
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's out for you. Okay.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay. Take care.
Right. Thanks, Matt. Bye.